The importance of sleep is the most important dimension besides playing, and we sleep around 8 to 10 hours, at least the professional gamers, and it really doesn't matter if you sleep 8 hours but go to bed at 4 a.m. then it doesn't matter that you sleep 8 hours. So it's really important that we actually make sure we go through the cycles, because if you don't go to bed before 2 a.m. you don't really have the growth hormones and all the recovery going. So we really want to focus that to explain basically why they are pro athletes is because they're extremely good, but it's not a sustainable level how they became a pro athlete. We have to make them understand that it's essential for every human being to sleep, that we have memory, that we have cognition deload, that we have emotional de-stress over time. So what actually does sleep to you? And then have to make sure we have, for example, the Oura ring. We want to track sleep, that we have actually some measurements and not just talking about it. And we see if we explain to them what's the difference, 4 stages of sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, REM, all the things do to them. And when we have a tracker, we obviously can see that. So sleep is the most important part of my work, because if you don't sleep well, you can't perform well and you will have burnout or injuries or mental stress. So this is basically for us insurance, if we have good sleep, that we can perform on a good baseline and don't have huge drops in high and bad performances. There are definitely some tips how to improve the sleep qualities of players. It also really depends on how good your baseline is, if you already do things good. But the most important thing is that we turn off the blue light or don't use screens 1 hour before we go to bed. It's also really important for us to don't eat heavy meals or fatty meals in the evening, because they block the deep sleep phase, but also 2.5 hours before going to bed not to eat too much anymore, more like a slight yogurt. If they want to have like a protein shake or something like this 40-50 minutes before, that's no problem, but we want to make sure on the nutrition side that this is actually covered, that we don't use caffeine anymore after 4 p.m. Taking maybe some sleep spray, but this is usually the things we do. We want them to de-stress, and then when they are sleeping, obviously we have like an air quality machine inside, making sure it's not too hot, good temperature around 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. And besides this, yeah, not really that much more. Yeah. Besides sleep, physical activity is maybe one of the most dominant factors of performance besides gaming, because in football, I was a goalkeeper myself. If I have some issues or I have stress, I yell at the referee, at my defenders, or can tackle someone. Whereas in esports, it's really not physical at all. If you hit your keyboard or mouse, you can't really play, and then you might get fines or whatsoever. So there's a lot of stress on the individuals. And also, you're always busy, where you can't really think too much about your emotions, and you have to suppress your emotions. So because of the well-being, it's really important to do sports. And the most important factor about cardio is actually that it distresses the frontal lobe, or the front part of your brain, because you have all day cognitive high functioning, and there's just 2 ways to really decrease it. It's cardio, okay, 3 things: cardio, fresh air and sleep. So if you can't really reset and you're just going through motions and go it over and over, you obviously will burn out. And also there's a lot of other connections. If you do cardio, for example, you have better fitness, you have a better concentration over time. This is obviously completely essential, because we are in League of Legends just play best of 1, but it's around 40-50 minutes maximum. But if we are in playoffs, which every team tries to be, because if you play in playoffs you can win the championship, then it's the best of 5. And how do you cope with stress during 5 to 6 hours? So it's more like a preparation for them to actually get some stress out for themselves, get the body in motions to also prevent injuries, but then in the end also improving and enhancing performing by having better concentration over time and better focus.